Hi guys, welcome to our second session for week 1. I am going to apologize in advance. I woke up with a cold, as you can probably hear from my voice. I'm at that stage where when I get a dry throat, I start coughing. So I'm going to try and not subject you guys to that, which means I may be silent, and it's going to simply be because I hit my mic, so you guys did not have to listen to me cough. I have my cough drops handy, so I'm hoping they'll get me through this without driving everybody nuts. So again, I apologize in advance if I had to cut the sound so that I can cough. Today, we're going to go through the announcements, the week 1 assignment overview, using the storyboard template, the week 1 assessment, and the assessment demo. We're going to talk about all of that. Our next session will be at 12 p.m. Mountain Time on Tuesday. Don't forget, Christy is our learning coach for this class. Her schedule is posted in the announcements. So if you're having trouble with the assignment or the assessment, you can go in to see Christy and she can help you with it. Lynda.com is part of this class, as I explained yesterday. Be sure you're checking out those tutorials. There is a lot to learn there above and beyond what I will have time to teach you in the 4 hours we're together each week. Our overview for this week, we are going to pick our company and what you're going to do your advertisement on. You're going to decide what your message is, who the target audience is, and what we are motivating them to do. You are going to be specifically doing what's called a storyboard this week. It's a series of drawings to pre-visualize different frame shots of a movie. This is an essential tool for a designer to get a sense of what the movie is going to look like and feel like to present to the client. So what does it look like? There are several approaches to creating a storyboard. It can be simple sketches or detailed drawings. The approach depends on how complicated the animation will be. Whichever approach is used, it needs to show enough detail to get the concept across to the client. Creating an effective storyboard. A few things you should take into consideration. It must convey a story effectively and be as close as possible to what the animated story is telling. This means when someone is reading the storyboard, they should instantly they should instantly be able to get the story's concept. Basically, by looking at the pictures, they should pretty much understand exactly what your animation is going to do. Here's a few tips. Write captions under each frame drawing. Use arrows to show the camera movement. Color objects to differentiate, I can't even talk today. You're going to use color objects to basically show the difference between the foreground and background if necessary. So let's talk about the structure of the storyboard. Can vary, but it is a good idea to have the frame done in the same aspect ratio as the final animation. Try to keep all frames and descriptions on the same page. 6 is a good number to start with and add if necessary. 6 can effectively convey an animation that runs 15 to 30 seconds long, depending on its complexity. What that means is, if your animation is going to have an artboard, let's say that's longer than it is taller, that means your storyboard artboard should look like that. If you're going to do the standard square, your storyboard square should look like that. This is an example storyboard. You can see it uses 12 slides, and those 12 slides are what's on the template that you can download from the instructions. It's already set up for you. All you have to do is go in and fill in the scenes. And you can delete the scenes if you don't need them all. This storyboard has 12 on it, as you can see, but you are only required to have 6. So the week 1 overview continued. Your instructions this week are to write a brief paragraph explaining what your animated advertisement is all about. What is it selling, and who the target market audience is. Also include how long the animation is expected to take. For this assignment, the length of your animation should be 10 to 30 seconds long. Since you guys are working on laptops, you really need to stay in about the 15-second, absolutely no more than 30, or you guys are going to have a hard time with animate freezing up, because you simply don't have enough virtual memory on your laptops to hold an animation that's longer than 30 seconds. If you've already used up a bunch of memory, you're going to have to keep it to 10 to 15 seconds long if animate starts freezing and stuff on you. So just keep that in mind. You're going to create a storyboard. You can use the Adobe Illustrator template that is inside these instructions. All you have to do is click on the link for the template and it will download for you. You need to show at least 6 frames. You can have as many as necessary, but you have to have at least 6. Save the brief paragraph from number 1 and the storyboard from number 2 and create a multi-page PDF document and name it DES246 Assignment 1, your first and last name, .pdf. Submit the single multi-page PDF by the deadline. So forming your creative ideas for your storyline, let's talk about that. You're going to identify who the company is. Who do you want to do your animated advertisement over? I would suggest, guys, do a company you're already familiar with, that you already like. If there's a brand of clothing you like, do the animated advertisement for them, or a brand of coffee you like. That sort of thing. Do something you're already familiar with. It'll make things much easier on you. What is the product or service? What will the company be selling or promoting? This is what your animation is going to be about. What's the problem? This is where you determine what the issue is for the product or service. When you're promoting something, an advertisement or something like that, it's usually because there is a problem. And so therefore you're advertising to fix that problem. Or because it's something new with the product. And so the problem is people aren't aware of it yet. And so you advertise that. So let's say you're advertising jeans. Well, the problem may be that they have too many of this specific brand of jeans in stock, and therefore they need to sell them because it costs company money to have a bunch of inventory. So you have to develop an ad that will entice users to purchase those specific jeans so that you can lower the inventory for the company. So there is the problem and the solution. Problem, too many jeans. Solution, have a sale, get users to buy them. And that's where what the obvious solution is. It's that obvious, so don't overthink it. What type of environment will you be using in your animation? This means, what is the scene you will be drawing around or behind your camera, behind your character? What's going on? Describe that background to me and what kind of environment you're going to be in, that sort of thing. These are the things you should talk about in the paragraph you're writing for your storyline. So how to create a successful storyboard. Every scene must serve a purpose. When creating your storyboard, don't cut to another scene unless there's a reason to do so. Otherwise, it makes your animation look jumpy. Don't move the camera unless it's necessary. Use camera moves to reveal jokes or, again, to direct the audience's focus to something necessary for the comprehension of the story. Watch for jump cuts. Jump cuts are a cut from scene to scene that appears to pop. It usually comes from cutting from one angle framing to the very similar angle framing. This is very jarring to look at. And it will appear that things in your scene, like your characters, will jump. This is easily done in animate, usually not because you're cutting from scene to scene necessarily, because you're working in one frame and you've accidentally used an arrow key or accidentally moved that character a little bit with your mouse, and then you go work to another frame and the character's in a different position because it didn't get moved in that frame, it got moved in the previous frame. But when the movie's playing, it goes right from one to the other, and therefore it looks like your character has jumped. Or he's just kind of glitchy. We've all kind of seen that in animations before. It's like a little glitch, and the character jerks or moves a little bit. That's what a jump cut is. Watch your composition. Be sure that you make the most of your negative space. Don't draw a little tiny character in your frame and nothing but background around him. Unless, of course, you're doing it so that the character feels lonely. That kind of thing. Watch your axis. In a scene, there is an imaginary line called an axis. It's the line that your camera can never jump across. Consider two characters speaking to one another. The axis between the two characters is drawn in a straight line through the center of those characters. This is one of the reasons when we're watching animation or cartoons or things like that, we always see profiles of the characters talking to each other. It's not usually one facing the camera and one's head to the camera. They're usually profiled. So we know what's going on and we can see their lips moving and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's all because of the axis, because it becomes very distracting when we have to look at the back of a character's head and don't really know what's going on because it's taking up most of the screen. Avoid complicated angles. It is highly recommended that you avoid overcomplicating your camera angles. If you don't need to have an extreme upshot or extreme downshot, then don't do them, because you have to be able to get the perspective just right or things just simply look funny. It makes the scene very difficult to animate, definitely, because of the perspective. It makes it a little harder. Make sure your descriptions are very clear. Chances are that your work will be done by more than one person. In this case, you're doing it yourself, but in the future, it may be done by more than one person. So you want to make sure that anyone can understand what you want or what your illustrated storyboard is saying needs to happen in that scene. That's why it's necessary to be very descriptive on your storyboard. Let everyone know what's happening. Doesn't always mean you have to write a paragraph. Just make sure whatever statement you put under each scene says exactly what's going on. Watch your continuity. One of the most common mistakes found in storyboards is the lack of continuity. Happens in animation as well. You need to make sure that everything remains consistent throughout the sequence. Characters need to be in the correct position from scene to scene, and you need to keep track of where they move to. Props need to be all accounted for, and sizes of characters and objects in the background need to follow closely. Don't be lazy with your poses. A lot of people try to take shortcuts when storyboarding. And sorry guys. Most people try to take shortcuts with storyboarding because they don't see how important it is, but I assure you, when you're sitting down with a client to get their approval before you start on the actual animation, having that storyboard is a saving grace, because it will show that client exactly what you plan. And just trying to talk them through it isn't going to work, because you have to remember that the clients are hiring you to create this because they don't have the skill, and most likely they don't have that visual creativity. Hence the reason they pay you so much money to do this kind of stuff. So you need to be able to take your visual creative ideas and let them see it visually, because they're not going to be able to visualize that stuff in their head. They haven't had enough practice like you have. It's not enough natural ability like you have. And so you have to document it and illustrate it so that they can see it, because that's the only way they're going to be able to picture it. So one of the things that will help you, especially as new animators, is to make sure when you draw your characters on the storyboard, if they're walking or sitting or doing whatever, that you create those poses. Because if you create them now, it'll be a lot easier when you go back to try and animate that character to know exactly where their foot should be here and there when they're walking. If you create those poses now, you'll have a lot less work to do next week. It doesn't look like my 12 principles of animation is working, so let's see if this one is. Oh, look there, that one's gonna work. This is an animation that is very bad. It's got a lot of mistakes in it, but really you guys need to see the other video. Let me see if I can pull it up through YouTube so that you guys can see it, because it's a really great video. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm gonna reshare my screen here with you guys.
I was always really interested in
There we go.
technology as a kid. When I got to college, I didn't study computer science because I kind of
The following has been paraphrased from The Illusion of Life by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. Squash and stretch. This action gives the illusion of weight and volume to a character as it moves. Anticipation. Prepares the audience for a major action the character is about to perform. Each major action is preceded with specific moves that anticipate for the audience what is about to happen. Staging. It's the presentation of an idea so that it is clear. Straight ahead and pose to pose. Pose to pose is charted with key drawings done at intervals throughout the scene. Straight ahead animation starts at the first drawing and works drawing to the end of a scene. Follow through and overlap. When the main body of the character stops, all other parts continue to catch up to the main mass. Nothing stops all at once. Slow in and slow out. As the action starts, we have more drawings near the starting pose, one or two in the middle, and more drawings near the next pose. Fewer drawings make the action faster, and more drawings make the action slower. Arcs. All actions, with few exceptions, follow an arc or slightly circular path. Arcs give animation a more natural action and better flow. Secondary action. It's an additional action in the scene used as a supplement of the main one in order to reinforce it and add more dimension. Timing. More drawings between poses slow and smooth the action. Fewer drawings make the action faster and crisper. Timing maintains the appearance of an object abiding by the laws of physics. Exaggeration. Remain true to reality, just presenting it in a wild or more extreme form. Solid drawings. It means taking into account forms in three-dimensional space, giving them volume and weight. Appeal. It's a quality of charm, able to please the viewer's eyes. It's the charisma of the action.
Okay, guys, now then, going over that, I want you to watch this video. This is an animation that I created, and there is stuff wrong with it. I did that intentionally so you guys could go through and take a look at this and pick out the 12 principles that really need to be improved in this video and what's wrong with it. These are the most common mistakes. Oops. Let's watch that again. Now, we've got a few issues there, don't we? Oops. Did it freeze where I wanted it to? Oh, let me see if I can go ahead and freeze it. Right here. What happens? Look at that. That arrow bounces off that balloon. That's not real, is it? That's not the way it would happen. According to this animation, the balloon has a mass that's stronger than the arrow itself. And we know that's not likely to happen, right? That arrow would go right through it. It wouldn't bounce off of it. It poked a hole, yes, but it still wouldn't have done that whole bouncing. That's the biggest thing wrong with this video. The next would be the speed in which it deflates. Now we know it wouldn't take it so long for it to deflate. It would deflate much faster than that. But you get an idea. Those are the two most common things with most animations, is that the mass is inconsistent, or something is taking way longer than it should to happen. And sometimes that's done on purpose, depending on what the message is. And in those cases, it's perfectly fine for it to take longer because there's a reason behind that. But when there's no reason behind it, then those things need to be fixed. So now let's hop over and start our storyboard demo for today. This is the template from the classroom instructions. It will be the easiest way for you to create your storyboard because it's pretty much all done for you. What you can do, most of you will not be using 12 slides. And in the demo I'm doing, I'm not going to be using 12 slides. So I want to unlock my base frame layer there. And I'm simply going to use my black arrow. I'm going to select, draw a box across those and let it select them. And hit my delete key. Then I'm going to delete these two down here because I only need 6. Oops, a little too high there. I only need 6. It's going to delete them. I'm going to have to hold my shift key down and click on the description. There we go. And then I'm going to take these two and line them up here and take this one and I'm going to drag it down here. And then I'm going to select all of these. Hold my shift key down. Now let's scale them a little bit. I'm going to make them a little bigger. Since there's only 6, I want to make sure they look good on the artboard. This should look professional. Now you notice there's enough white space down here that, well, if I could draw a text box, there's enough white space down here that there is plenty of room for me to add my storyline. So if you want to do it this way, that's perfectly fine. You can put your paragraph at the very bottom of your storyboard. This is the way I usually do it for customers. the instructions up here. Delete those instructions and put your name. And the company you're going to do your animated advertisement for. And then you're going to lock that layer because you're going to design on the layer above it, on the sketch layer. And then you're going to start adding to your storyboard. In the case, oops, I misspelled discover. I am going to do discover card. We are going to be doing a cashback advertisement. So when they purchase things online, they get a 5% cashback bonus. And so I'm going to do an animated advertisement for that cashback bonus. Now, as for your storyboard, guys, you do not have to have finished graphics on here. You can sketch it. I am perfectly fine with that as long as I know what's going on your sketches. As long as I can tell what's happening, you can absolutely sketch it. Or if you want to spend the time making your final graphics, absolutely go ahead. It's going to be a little too small for what I want. It's a monitor. And I'll put a website on here. And I will advertise something. There will be some sort of product on here. There's going to be a price out beside it. I'll go back and do this part with text. And there's going to be a buy now button. And there may be another item on that page as well. And of course, it's going to show the arrow for the mouse button. It's going to show it moving around and buying and clicking and things like that. So I'm going to go into Windows. My symbol's already open. Ah, here we go. I need a cart button. And I need an arrow. Here we go. There's that arrow. And I'm going to use pencil here real quick. I'm just going to click on this. I'm just going to click on this. Stroke box. Tilt that to that line. There we go. Go down. It's going to click on both of those. And I have my cart button. And then it's going to go from this button to up here. And in my description, I'm just going to, oops, click in here. Mouse button moves across screen. Purchasing 2 items and clicking on shopping cart icon. And I'm going to grab my computer here. My little tabs. Copy, paste. And I'll design this so it looks like a checkout web page, but you get the idea there. And then I'm going to do little radio buttons. And then once again, I'm going to have my mouse button and it's going to click right on top of Discover. So in my description, mouse button, we'll click on Discover as payment method. And then we're going to get all of this again. Thank you for your payment. And I want to make sure that is bold. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be money. I'm flying out of the computer. Wouldn't that be awesome? This is my rough drawing of money. So we're going to have some money come flying out. And the next scene first, I need to draw my arrow here. This. Down here. Copy this money. Oops. Stack this a little bit like that. More money. And we have scene 5. And this is going to be pretty much the same thing. Well, not exactly. Goes down here. And it's actually going to get smaller. Like that. And money's going to disappear. And this time, you're gonna select this again. Move this computer over just a little bit. Now I need to finish drawing the base. And then we're going to have my person. You're going to be able to see my person now. To be covering up the computer screen a little bit. have some shoulders. His arm held up. It's kind of a rough sketch, but you get the idea. And we're going to be able to see part of his face. And he's going to be smiling very big. Yeah, I got money. Some hair, my funky looking guy, he'll look better at the end, but this gives you an idea. And then he's going to have money, money, money. He's going to be holding up money. There we go. He's going to be holding up some money, waving it at the camera, and smiling. Last scene will be the exact same, except for there's going to be a message on it. Oops. Let's try that again. Copy. Paste. There we go. And this time there's going to be a banner that comes up across from the bottom to the top. Not covering up the smile though. Receive 5% cash back for every online purchase. And in this one, he's going to wink. And this ad is coming up from the bottom. Oh, I forgot my descriptions on these other ones. Look at that. Let's go back and try this again. Let's put in the description. Let's go here. Money starts to flow from your monitor. Money continues to flow out of monitor. Camera zooms out and shows customer with money and bright smile. Advertisement for cashback scrolls in on bottom and customer winks at screen or winks at user. So there it is. That's a nice, very simple storyboard. Doesn't have to be too in-depth. Again, you can hand sketch it out there just like I did, as long as I can tell what's going on in each scene. Make sure your descriptions are good. You're not being graded on your drawing skills, guys. It can be very simple, very rudimentary, as long as I can tell what's going on. Next week is all about working on your final graphics. So you're going to have time next week to build those final graphics. So this week it can just be rudimentary. It can be black and white. You don't have to have color necessarily, that sort of thing. Just make sure I can tell what's going on from scene to scene. This will help me guide you in the direction you need to be going, because you guys are creative individuals, but I don't want to see you bite off more than you can chew, because animation is not the simplest thing in the world. So I want to make sure that you guys keep your ads pretty simple while you're learning the tools. Most of you will be taking an advanced class in animation, and then you will start using the advanced tools, and your animated ads will be very involved. Right now, we want to keep it simple so that you guys can get used to the tools and things like that. As you, this is a very simple animated ad, but it's going to be very effective. The biggest thing about animated advertisement is normally the simpler, the better, because it will keep your users' attention, because it's not very long and it's simple, and so they don't have to really think about it. And usually simple will get the message over a lot quicker than complex will. Because you don't want your user to have to think about it. You want them to know exactly what they need to do. Well, my last scene tells them exactly what they need to do. They want that cash. They need to make purchases online with their Discover card. It's going on the Discover website, so there will be no question there. So they know exactly what they're supposed to do. So that's what you guys are going to do this week, is you're simply going to make out your ad, your storyboard. Again, don't spend a whole lot of time on the graphics. Absolutely, if you want to start making some of your final graphics this week and use them on your storyboard, go for it. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying don't stress because you think you have to have all these final graphics in your storyboard. You don't. It's a rough concept idea, just to be able to show me what the idea is for your animation, what it's going to do. So definitely, if you need to just sketch it out because you spend a lot of time coming up with an idea, go for it. As long as I know what's going on in each scene, that's all that matters. You're not being graded on your drawing skills whatsoever this week. Matter of fact, you're not being graded on your drawing skills all month long, for that matter. It's more important that you have a good concept. Now, that doesn't mean you can get away with giving me junky graphics when we get into actually putting this stuff into Animate, because guys, this can be used in your portfolio. Those of you that are on the web design program need this type of stuff in your portfolio. Those of you that are going to be graphic designers and plan to be able to freelance, you need this in your portfolio. So be sure you spend time on those graphics. Once you finish the storyboard and the rest of your homework for this week, start on those final graphics now. You will have all week next week to work on them as well, but I do want to see you guys spend some time on them so that they're at the best they can be. Now, I realize all of you are kind of in different levels with where you're at in your skills in the classes you've had so far. So it's going to vary, but I will be able to tell immediately whether you gave that your all or you spent 2 hours doing your graphics on Saturday nights so you could turn it in by the deadline. I'm going to be able to tell that, guys. I have enough experience. I can look in something and tell you how long you spent on it. Make sure your graphics look good. They're important. This is important. In this day and age, guys, it's all about digital. Printing, print design has become a very small portion of what graphic design is now because of the digital age. We all use our cell phones, we use our tablets, we use our laptops, we use our computers, we use our smart radios in our car, our smart watches on our wrist. We do use all of that to in some way interact with the internet. So it has become necessary for graphic designers to learn how to create digital advertisement that's going to be displayed on the web. And a big portion of those advertisements are animated graphics, animated advertisements. You see them every time you get on the web. Somewhere you see them. You have to learn how to do this stuff, especially if you want to be successful. So take some time, work on your graphics, because these will be great little additions to your portfolio that will make you stand out. And that's the idea. If you have questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Don't hesitate to go into the SSC. This week, you can go into SSC and see just about any one of the graphic designers, especially if you're working on creating your graphics. Any of them can help you with that, because that's Illustrator. All of them can help you do that. Christy is our learning coach, but she is there only at specific times. So if she's not there, sometime when you can go in and see one of the other graphic design learning coaches, because they all should be able to help you with Flash. Christy is the expert in the SSC, but they all have some skill in Animate. So be sure if you're having trouble, go in and see them with coming up with an animated advertisement. They definitely can help you with that. But I'm here, guys. So if you need me, reach out, email me, tell me what's going on. If you can't think of a company to do, email me. I will give you a company to do. And that way you can start working on your animated advertisement. This should be fun. Don't get stressed out. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed, can't come up with that creative idea, email me so that we can talk about it. Because this should be a fun class. It's animation. It's supposed to be fun. Yes, you're learning new software, and I know that can be kind of stressful. But I promise you guys, it's fun. Animation is fun, and that's what you need to keep in mind. So if you start getting overwhelmed and you start getting stressed, send me an email so we can fix it, because I want to make sure that you guys have fun this month. Animation should be fun. It should be something you enjoy. Yep, there's a lot to learn, but in reality, animation's really not that hard. It just takes some thought, and you kind of have to get your brain to thinking that way. And that takes a little bit of practice sometimes. Okay, guys, I will be doing a demo of the assessment tomorrow, and then I will be emailing that demo to all of you. Now, normally I break up the demos every week, and you will get them as separate. We do our lecture, and usually the second demo is either on the assignment or assessment, whichever one I think is easier. I usually throw in at the end of one of the lectures. And then I do a totally separate demo on the other, which I believe will be a little more difficult for you. In this case, the assessment, you're going to be doing an actual animation. It should be fun, but it is learning those new tools. I like to keep those demos completely separate from the lecture, because we've been sitting here already for an hour. So by now, you're kind of tired of hearing me talk, and that's perfectly acceptable, guys. It's no big deal. I understand it completely. So when it comes to doing your assignments and stuff, it's kind of hard to fast forward through there and rewind and get to the place you want just so you can watch a demo. So I try to keep the harder assignments in a separate demo so that when you pull them up, the only thing you're going to hear me talk about is that specific assignment. And I will email that to you tomorrow after I create it. And that's the way it will work every week. Sometimes we may have enough that I can break it down and we will talk for 1 hour and I'll hit pause and let everybody take a break and then do the demo. So there is a definite break in the recordings. When I upload them, there will be 2 different recordings for session 1. One of them will be the lecture, one of them will be a demo. We may be able to fit that in. It kind of just depends on how many people I have in here, how many questions get asked, how much I like to do live critiques on the animation. So it kind of depends week to week on whether or not we can do demos like that, or if I end up having to do separate lectures outside of our normal lecture time and then email them to you. But you will always be able to find them on the live lecture page after I do them. So by tomorrow evening, you will see a 3rd recording on the live lecture page that's for the assessment demo, and it will be labeled as such. So you can watch it before you do your assessment so that you can kind of follow along and see what I've done, kind of like the challenge demo I did in the first lecture. Except for this will specifically be about the assessment and what you need to do. Okay, guys, well, that's it for today. If you guys need me, don't hesitate to email me or text message me, and I will make sure I make myself available at some time when you're available so that we can figure out what's going on. I can answer your questions, and overall, just make sure you're having a good time with anime. See you later, guys.